Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Kaley, Roshitsh, Sustainability Reporter with WWD, to discuss secondhand fashion, sustainability, and the circular economy, topics that are very on trend. Kaley, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you for having me. And, I always love talking about this. So, take it away. Let's talk about it.
Who doesn't love talking about fashion and sustainability? Explain to the audience what the circular economy is and why it's being used. What kind of trends are you seeing?
Right. So a circular economy is, it feels like this big grandiose idea, but it's really the future. It's how do we transition away from a high carbon economy to a low carbon economy? And within fashion, that looks like resale, that looks like rental, and all of these behaviors that are just skyrocketing in popularity. And it's a transition strategy. That's the importance here. And, resale rental fits into this broader vision.
And sustainability trends were on the rise, but of course accelerated by the pandemic, and fashion's flaws were exposed. Tell us what you mean by that.
So, as with anything, a global health crisis can cause a lot of controversy. We saw that basically, bringing all of these bad truths about fashion to the fore. So that looks like, way upstream in the supply chain of, who's getting paid and how much, and where are my clothes coming from? What fibers are used? All of these questions are being brought to the brands, to the fashion business, and quite frankly, they're not ready to answer those questions on traceability, transparency. And so we saw campaigns like from Remake on the social factor of, brands, didn't pay their suppliers. And we saw this uproar from consumers of like, this doesn't look good. And so we want to see our values in our clothes. We want to see brands that we supporting our values, and this is what we want going forward. So those are some of the things that I speak to when you see, the flaws are exposed, everything's out there, and how are we going to rebuild sustainably really this time?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that consumer shift to values-based investing. There's almost a stigma of acquiring secondhand fashion or renting fashion and so forth, but it's almost like doing values-based purchasing or renting really is just as important as the product itself.
Absolutely. And to your point, it is trendy. It's cool now. And I think we have a lot of credit due to Gen Z. Back in college, I would go thrifting, and it was like, it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. And now you can even look back at the RealReal, ThredUp, Poshmark, all of this activity here and exploding onto the financial scene is the validation of these behaviors. And again, I can't say enough about Gen Z values and, thrifting and all of these behaviors of secondhand offers affordability. It offers, a change in style that you were getting with fast fashion, but now you can get it and have that ecological footprint reduced. And quite frankly, that's a lot to brag about.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially and speaking, anecdotally as a reporter and having to be on camera every single day, it can get quite expensive acquiring fashion, doing all of the dry cleaning, whereas you can rent and high quality fashion, not have to pay the dry cleaning bill. And you have the sustainability factor as well. You don't have to worry about what am I going to wear today because you just simply can't acquire all that clothing. So I think it transcends not even just the younger generation, but even through different industries. But to wrap up here, how will the Biden administration impact the environmental strategy, and how do you think this will play out for fashion?
Great question. I think that's a lot of what we're looking at. There's very little, if any, regulation. There's maybe one textile law nationally, and it's in New York City, or state and nationally. And so what's happening? How do we clamp down on some of these huge problems like textile waste, carbon emissions? So the Biden administration will take a more urgent and proactive stance on that, which speaking to a lot of different industry experts, it's well received. Quite frankly, we need it. And we'll look at kind of a lot of the changes and a lot of the strides that have been taken by the European Union. That's been very ambitious. And so it's kind of the point where you don't want to get left behind. And certainly the Biden administration has its work cut out for them, but they are absolutely on the right side of progress. And, that could look like a lot of different things. Again, I look towards the EU too and compare and see how this could go, but a lot more action from the public sector.
Here's to the next 4 years in fashion, Kaley. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.